What's going on, sports fans? Welcome back to Jackie's Sports Ball. Today we're back with a college football sixer where we're going to pick 6 games that I think are going to be able to make us a little bit of money. Last week was a rough week for me. I went 1-5, barely squeaking by with a win at plus 7.5 at Purdue, or with Purdue, my bad. The Boilermakers really saved my day. Other than that, I had some bad picks. The night is always darkest before the dawn. We're going to bounce back. Let's get into it. Let's see my first game that I like here. It's LSU at Vanderbilt. Spread is plus 2.5 LSU. I look at this game and I see an LSU defense that is very, very good. And that's always a scary factor, especially in the SEC, in current day SEC, where these margins of victory just aren't huge. But 2.5 points isn't a lot. And I think Vanderbilt has the offense, especially led by a dog in Diego Pavia, that will at least do enough to frustrate this LSU defense. And on top of that, I just do not believe in this LSU offense anymore. We've seen them time and time again just flounder and just not be able to figure it out. And you think, oh, this will be the week that they figure it out. Oh, this will be the week they figure it out. They just never have been able to figure it out, quite frankly. And I think that this is going to be another week where we just see that same thing. And I get Garrett Nussmeier has potentially been hurt, and he looked better last week. All that being said, I don't believe that that's the reason why they haven't clicked, because he looked fine last week and they looked pretty mediocre. So give me Vanderbilt minus 2.5. I think that's going to be easy. I really, really do. Let's go over to the next game, which is Georgia Tech at Duke. Spread is minus 1.5 with Duke being favored. This is a game that is going to show just how good Georgia Tech is. Are they for real or are they not? They have to travel to Duke, who I think, even though their record, they have 2 losses, they're 4-2, this is a very dangerous Duke team, especially when you have to go on the road. And this is a Georgia Tech team that does not play well on the road. You can look at it from earlier this season, you can look at it from last season. They do not play well on the road. And for that, and on top of that, they don't really defend the pass very well, and that's something that Duke can very much exploit in this one. Darian Mensah can make any throw you want him to on the football field, and he has receivers that are good enough to, I think, beat Georgia Tech. As I said, I haven't been impressed by their pass defense. I think Georgia Tech's big strength is that they can run the football. They have a good offensive line that can run the football, but Duke's defense is one of the better run defenses in the country. And I think now that you have to travel to Duke, you just throw that all together, and I think it's a recipe for Georgia Tech to be upset in this one. I'm going to take the Blue Devils minus 1.5. Next, we're going to go into the 3:30 slate with Purdue at Northwestern. Like I said, Purdue was the only reason last week that I was able to even escape with a single win. And they barely did that. But I'll tell you what, this team is frisky. And right here, I'm just purely betting a spot. All right, Northwestern's coming off a game where they went to Penn State and beat them by a point when at the beginning of the season, we wouldn't even think that was possible. And I just think that emotional high is going to be tough for a team like this to recover from. I just don't think they're going to come in ready for this. I think they're going to come in thinking, oh, we can murder Purdue. We're going to kill them. And Purdue's a frisky team. If you mess around and aren't prepared for them, they will beat your ass. It's just that simple. I think they have a good coach. I just think in this spot, I think Purdue, I don't know if they'll necessarily win the game. They're going to stay within that number. I really do think so. So I'm going to take the Boilermakers plus 3.5 again, and hopefully they do me right once again. The other game in the 3:30 slate is going to be Ole Miss at Georgia. Georgia's favored minus 7.5. I understand this line. I do. Ole Miss looked horrible last week against Washington State. But Georgia's just not that good. I'm sorry, they're just not. Gunnar Stockton is not a guy that I want to put my money on being a 7.5-point favorite, even if he is at home against a mediocre Ole Miss defense. I don't care. This Ole Miss offense can go up and down the field. I know what we saw last week at Washington State wasn't good, but they're going to be fine. I think this might have been a look-ahead spot. And on top of that, as I said, the win margins in the SEC haven't been huge. So I just think in a matchup like this, give me Ole Miss, give me the points. I don't think they're going to win this game. I do think Georgia will win, but I just don't think Georgia deserves to be 7.5-point favorites in this one. Give me the Rebels plus 7.5. And now we're going to go to the night slate with Tennessee at Alabama. Alabama's favored in this one, minus 8.5. Now this one I am purely just going to go off the trend. What we've seen in these big-time matchups, they typically go under. And they never make sense why they go under. You can look into the stats and you can be like, oh, this is an over team. Both these teams just put up 1 billion points, but when they play each other, they just don't score, it seems like. The last couple of years, it feels like we get these big numbers, and then they never, ever go over. So I'm just going to bet against that. I'm just going to bet that they go under once again. I'm going to take under 58.5. I might look really stupid, but I just think you got to take the under here. And the last game of the week is USC at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's favored in this one, minus 9.5. And let me say this. I don't understand even a little bit why Notre Dame is favored by 9.5 points in this one. That's way, way too many points. Listen, this isn't the Notre Dame of old where they're going to sit there and they're going to dominate you on defense and run the ball and just beat you up, series after series after series. This Notre Dame defense is not that good. They've definitely recovered since the beginning of the season where they let up 41 points where they let up 41 points to Texas A&M, but they're not an elite defense. And I'll tell you what, USC, they are missing their 2 starting running backs, their top 2 running backs, which does seem like a problem, but that freshman last week ran for 120 yards or whatever, 120, 130 yards. I think they're going to be okay, especially because they have weapons in Mekhi Lemon and Jeremiah Lane on the outside. I don't see how USC doesn't keep within this number. So I'm going to take USC plus 9.5, and I just don't see how you can even get yourself to take Notre Dame minus 9.5. So again, USC plus 9.5 is my play. These are my plays for Saturday. I hope we can come out 6-0 because I really need it after a bad week 7. Good luck. Let's make this bread. I'll see you later.